Going woke with children's content in the last 3 years has cost the Walt Disney Company north of $1 billion. And when we say north, we mean way north of $1 billion. Get ready, folks. This is the video where we'll show you how well Inside Out 2 did and how it is barely digging out from the losses that Disney earned by going so woke that families said, no joke, we won't go see a Disney movie. Hello folks, welcome back to the Pro Channel, where we endeavor to explain entertainment, keep you ahead of the culture curve, and yes, we do indeed try to bring you videos that you will find nowhere else until tomorrow, when the rest of the internet manages somehow to catch up. Someone that we're always chasing to get back on the channel is Marvin the Movie Monster. Welcome back, sir.
Oh, I'm glad to be back. Always happy to be here.
Absolutely, and today is a dandy of a day, Marvin, for the Disney Company. You see, over here on Cartoon Brew, they're talking about how Inside Out 2 has surpassed The Lion King remake and become the highest grossing animated feature film of all time. This by Amid Amidi.
I like that we're finally admitting that the Lion King live action remake, quote unquote, is actually an animated film.
Wait a minute. Marvin, are you stealing my notes? That was what I was going to say. How can we possibly be this much on the same page?
Great minds think alike, my friend.
Marvin, when they thought they would never beat The Lion King, they didn't include it in the animated film category, despite the fact that it's clearly animated. Now that they beat it, it's suddenly animated again because, well, now it's in a list. So that's how it works in Hollywood. That's how it works with the entertainment journalists, the drive-bys. And, well, here's the article, folks, and then we're going to show you the cost of going woke to Disney, because that is the part of this that the rest of the entertainment industry intelligentsia will not tell you. Disney Pixar's Inside Out 2 has surpassed the Lion King 2019 remake to become the highest grossing animated feature of all time. Again, they never counted it as an animated feature film, although it was, because, well, it was inconvenient. So, facts, you know. This weekend, the Kelsey Man-directed Inside Out 2 grossed $9.8 million globally for a grand total of $1.66 billion, pushing it past the $1.65 billion global take of The Lion King.
Wow.
Marvin, can you give us a huzzah for Disney for this? I mean, listen, we're not trying to take anything away from the House of Mouse. This is a great accomplishment, true?
Huzzah!
Huzzah indeed!
As they say at the Renaissance Fair. No, huge numbers. I mean, look, Inside Out 2, I haven't actually seen it yet. I've heard good things. I've heard they stayed away from all the, you know, they stayed away from all things woke. And this is what you see when you do that. And hopefully they've learned a valuable lesson here. Though I'm sure the lesson they're going to take from it is, people just want sequels. So time for 101 Dalmatians 3.
Yes, and, you know, as I said, we're not trying to take anything away from Disney. This is a moment of celebration for them. Going into this movie, we thought they were taking the difficult way of doing it by having a character named Anxiety, the personification of something that many consider to be an actual issue, a mental issue that needs to be conquered. And so, Marvin, we always thought this was a challenge, but they went right up to the precipice of going into controversy, but never crossed it in the movie. And they stayed away from being outright woke. Now, I still think that it's softly, gently in that direction, but I want to show you something, Marvin. This is the cost of going woke. We promised this. Here it is, folks. Take a look at this. This is out of the numbers. We're going to run through these, and as we do so, remember that these movies are made essentially by the same studios. There's so much overlap now between Pixar and Disney Animation Studios that essentially they operate almost as one. And so these are made by the same people. The animation is largely the same quality. The people who are in charge of developing these are largely the same people as well. I want the audience, that's you out there, I want you to figure out what is the difference in these films, okay? Besides their box office intakes, which is a huge difference. Here we go. Lightyear, $218 million. Now, remember, Marvin, that when we call out these movies and the totals they made at the box office, they need essentially $500 million to break even, because every one of these movies costs about $250 million in production and in marketing in order to get out the door. And then Disney gets half of the box office revenues back So 250 times 2 is 500. They need 500 million to make a profit or break even. So
Right.
Lightyear at 218 million as a box office lost a lot of money.
A
Okay,
whole
next one,
lot of
ready?
money. Yeah.
Strange World. You ready for some really losing money? Here's some really losing money. $70 million
Ooh.
total. Remember,
Couldn't
needs
even crack
500 million.
Couldn't even
Right?
crack
Needs
100 mil worldwide.
needs $500 million to break even. Made 70 million. Okay. Next one, ready? Wish from last year. By the way, you can't hardly find any Wish merchandise. $240 million. That's about $250 million short of breaking even. And then, of course, we get to Inside Out 2. So we've run through the Disney films, the Disney animated films of the last couple of years, and we've seen that they were flop after flop after flop, and not by a little, but by a huge margin. Marvin, what if I told you that at 1.6, and we'll give it 1.7, that's where it will wind up at, $1.7 billion, Inside Out 2 will recoup the losses that Disney has had out of their prior 3 animated films, but not by much. That's the kind of hole that they had dug with those 3 films. Marvin, can you share with the audience what is the difference, since qualitatively these are made by the same people, they have the same animators working on them. What is the difference from that made the prior 3 films make, half of what they needed, and this one made something like triple? What's the difference there? How do we have that kind of a gulf?
You would have to think it's the virtue signaling and identity politics that surround it, and the buzz that went around about these movies because of those political statements that they were making in it. You look at something like Lightyear, you can't even argue, oh well, you can't compare it. It's a sequel. It's up against Strange Worlds and Wish, which were 2 new IPs. Lightyear is a spinoff of one of the most successful animated IPs of all time. So it ain't that. It's not like people don't like
Right, it's
Toy Story.
Not original IP at all. Right, it's not original IP.
Yeah, the Strange World. I mean, you look at something like this, and you've got to think there's something we're missing. And when you look at Inside Out 2, you look at the Super Mario Brothers movie, you look at the Minions, you look at Sonic the Hedgehog. It's not what they try to say that families just don't go to the movies anymore. They do go to the movies, and when you put these 3 that we put up here as our big failures, our losers, up against the movies that I just mentioned, the only major difference is the political stance. And you have to assume that is where the negativity lies from the audience.
Okay. So let's do this then, Marvin. Let's go back to Lightyear then. Okay. And by the way, we're out of the numbers for this. So let's say that Lightyear, which is a movie that takes place in one of Disney's most popular franchises, let's say that it did not have anything divisive or controversial in it, like Inside Out 2. One might presume then that it would do Inside Out 2 numbers. Is that fair?
One would assume. I mean, Lightyear, to me, before I saw it, looked fun. It looked like a superhero movie. It starred Captain America. It looked like it had the makings of a hit, and then it just didn't hit.
Okay, so let's not give it as much as it would have. Let's not give it Inside Out 2 numbers. Even though Inside Out 2 is not one of Pixar's best, it's mediocre, actually. It's not as good as the original. It's not as good as WALL-E. It's not as good as Ratatouille. It's not as good as Toy Story 1 or 3. It's not as, I can keep going. It's not as good as Up. But it's passable, and apparently audiences will reward passable ravenously. So let's say that Lightyear came out and it was average at best, but it was not divisive or controversial. Would have made $1 billion. I think that's obvious now. So Marvin, the loss here, let's keep a tally, okay? You write in your notebook that you have there. You write down these numbers, okay? Lightyear, $800 million, okay? Keep that in your mind. You ready? All right.
Got it.
Strange World. Strange World made $70 million. It's new IP. Let's assume that it wouldn't have been as popular, but hey, let's take out anything controversial and divisive from it. And I think we can at least say that this $70 million box office could have been $700 million. Is that fair?
Fair. Definitely fair to say.
It's $1 billion less than Inside Out 2, so I don't see how that can... listen, it can't be controversial to say it would have made $1 billion less than Inside Out 2, but if you strip out the divisiveness, here's what it would make. And the cost of that, of course, is, $600 million. Okay, so we're at how much, Marvin, now if we add those 2 together?
So that's 800 and 600. So that's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So that's 1.4 billion.
Folks, that's every toe he had to do that. And let's go to the third one here. Wish. All right. And Wish was the celebration of Disney's 100th. And Wish, again, let's go back and say that given that it was a pastiche of all Disney movies combined, if it had just not been woke, which it most certainly was. In fact, it's so woke that the villain seems to me to be the hero of the film. If it had just not been woke, this has got to be $1 billion film. It's got to be $1 billion film. It just has to be, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
All right. Then that means 750 more. So what is 14 plus 7.5, Marvin? What do we have?
7.5. Let's see. 7 million.
Carry the Z times the 5.
I was trying to use a calculator this time, but
what do you got, Marvin? You are definitely not Marvin the math monster. I'll tell you that.
I was told there'd be no math. I usually use John Trent articles from my site because he does all the math for me. It was 7.4. 7.4. You said.
I don't feel like I should save you right now. What do you got, Marvin?
Crud. Sorry, I completely lost my place.
Marvin, you've got. Go ahead. What do you got?
Hold on. So we had 800 for Lightyear, 600 for Strange Worlds, and what was it for Wish?
For Wish, 750.
750. All right. So we're at 1.4. So
carry the 5 times the 3. Triple and cubit.
Plus 600 plus
square root of Chuck Norris equals
750 is looks like 2.15 billion.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's got it. Marvin the Math Monster is his new name. Marvin, what you have demonstrated is that, and slowly, by the way, but demonstrated it nonetheless. Marvin, woke cost Disney an astounding $2 billion plus at the box office in the past 3 years. And folks, how do we know that? Because we know what Inside Out 2 did, and we know that there is absolutely no difference in this film and those other films except divisive content. That's it. That is the only thing separating these. When you have a film that performs like this, and every film before it had one thing different about them, and they made something like 200 million or less a pop, there is a major reason that this chasm exists. The cost of woke for Disney was $2 billion on just their prior 3 animated films. Now, Marvin, I don't know if you pay much attention to the gaming industry. I saw a video, and I wish I knew the YouTuber's name. I would give credit here. Folks, if you know their name, please put it in the comments. But they're declaring that the collapse of the video game industry is happening in 2024, and it's because of the gaming industry going woke. And so I have to say that I think that's a fully legitimate thing now that we can talk about, because when you have these kinds of numbers and you can compare it, folks, and by the way, I recommend everybody that can go out there to thatparkplace.com. Got an article that came out on Labor Day. Disney learns valuable lesson as Inside Out 2 becomes undisputed top-grossing animated film of all time. I think people will enjoy that article. But Marvin, it's not often we get to put this into actual terms where we can really, but we've got a trend here that we can tackle. So Marvin, if there's a hole in this argument anywhere, please, I don't want to say this and someone have an astounding claim that makes me rethink it all in the comments, and I wish that I had thought of it before. So Marvin, do you see any kind of logical error here, or is this as obvious as it seems to me?
It seems pretty. No, it seems very obvious. I mean, it's at some point it's the Principal Skinner meme where he's like, "Am I out of touch? No, it's everybody. It's the children who are wrong. Like it's everybody else that's wrong about this. We're the only ones that get it right." You look at what's happening in films. You look at what's happening on TV. You look at what's happening in streaming. You look at what's happening in gaming. In gaming, it's even worse because they haven't even started to purge the woke from gaming the way movies and TV are kind of starting to come around.
It's just starting in gaming. They are about to They're about to face a whirlwind of destruction that they have not seen since the Atari days.
We talk about it on That Game Place all the time, and it's. I mean, you're looking at a shellacking when Black Myth Wukong does the monster numbers that it did, and you've got the games like this Concord that came out that are just getting raked over the coals, and studios Rocksteady firing most of its quality assurance staff and a whole bunch of other people, all because they jumped in on the squad kill the Justice League. we're seeing it all. We're seeing it all happen right in front of our eyes, Pro, and you have to be blind to not actually see it, or just willfully ignorant at some point.
$2 billion to Disney alone, folks. What do you think it's going to cost the video game industry when the gaming industry is 13 times as big as the film industry? Yes, gaming is that huge. It will cause a significant economic collapse in many, many sectors if the gaming industry goes down due to woke. But that seems to be what they are absolutely determined to do, because the propagandists have determined that they are going to what would you say, activate the ideals of Southern California in a very particular area, and San Fran and New York, and activate that all across the world as if the rest of the world agrees with it. It does not seem to be the case. Now, Marvin, before we go, I just want to say this, because sometimes we get pushback from folks saying, well, we don't even know what woke means. So I just want to give the definition real quick before we head out, so that everybody knows exactly what it is that cost Disney $2 billion. So when we say woke, what we're referring to is postmodern. Postmodern means that these folks don't believe in objective truth anymore. They believe in the narrative. They believe that whatever the my truth is that gets you power, that's the way to go. And then they're not only postmodern, but they are also neo-Marxist. Of course, Marxist refers to the idea that there are oppressed and oppressors. And the traditional Marxist ideology was that those oppressed and oppressors come from socioeconomic statuses, which are largely difficult to maneuver and get out of. Neo-Marxist, that means new Marxist, what that has done is it has flipped the script and said that it's no longer about economic status, where you are in that hierarchy, but rather it's about the immutable differences you are born with. So the color of your skin, your ancestors, and what have you, that is what determines whether or not you are in an oppressor class or an oppressed class, and you cannot transverse from where you are to another place. You are always oppressed, no matter if you're a billionaire, simply based on your skin color or where your ancestors came from. And of course, bedroom issues as well. And so when we say that Disney went down that trail, that's what we're referring to. That is the path they took. The damage is deep, the damage is wide, and it has metastasized and gone on over to the gaming industry, unfortunately, after taking Star Wars and briefly Marvel, but other companies as well, down as its victim for a while. Marvin, I'll give you the final word on all of this. Tell the folks out there what your take is on $2 billion in losses. And that's, by the way, not even considering Indiana Jones. Marvel with the Marvels. Don't forget about that's the biggest financial flop of all time. And then the live action stuff with The Little Mermaid. Anyway, I got to stop. Marvin, your thoughts on just this tiny one segment of Disney being a $2 billion loss on it?
Look, the thing I scream about all the time, whether it's on social media or on my channels or even on your show, is subjective opinion versus objective reality. It's your subjective opinion to say, hey, I liked Lightyear, or I thought Lightyear was terrible. You can argue that all day long, because that's subjective opinion and there is no definitive truth. Objective reality is numbers, and 2.15 billion is a number that is objectively true and just in your face, and you can't deny it. Disney can't look at, and you look at things in the parks like Communicore Hall and Tiana's Bayou Adventure, and the things that didn't happen, like Mary Poppins and the Play Pavilion. This is the reason why, because we lost all this money trying to pander to people who are just clearly not interested in hearing what you have to say. Because if there was enough volume to create a profit based on that demographic, then you would be making money hand over fist, and you wouldn't have to worry about what people like Pro and Marvin the Movie Monster have to say. But here we are. Here we are. And I just want to say this, Marvin, in case people say, well, Inside Out 2 is the greatest miracle in the history of animation. Of course it should be the top grossing thing. You all are comparing apples to oranges. Metacritic. Inside Out 2 had a 73. The original had a 94. Yeah. This is no masterpiece. This is a mediocre Pixar film. It's probably towards the bottom in terms of quality. It's at least at the halfway point and slightly below. Still broke all the records. And why? Because people have been starving for a Disney animated film that they don't have to ride in the car and explain things that are uncomfortable to their kids at an age they were not prepared to do so. That is the difference. That is the cost of going woke. The people who tell you that you're on the wrong side of history for wanting your kids to not have to deal with this stuff yet, they are losers
who want corporations to lose money. That's it, folks. Before we go, though, I got to say that there's a channel out there that will help you not lose money. No, it's not Dave Ramsey. It is Marvin the Movie Monster, where they are giving out financial advice every single day. And you can hold them liable.
They're not.
Is that right?
No, absolutely not. No financial advice being given, folks. Absolutely
I was so confused. What do you do on your YouTube channel then if it's not a money channel? What is it you're doing?
Well, we do Toontown TV. We talk movies. We talk TV. We don't do math, but we do a lot of other things. Daily
I thought you were a Wall Street investment channel. What is this? I'm so confused.
That explains why you invited me on for this video to do all the math.
I'm going to talk to Jonas about this.
I thought it was just to laugh at me. No,
Jonas has screwed up your bio so badly for me. I apologize, Marvin.
No, we are doing daily content over there, dropping every single morning. We're covering things like Star Wars, things like The Lord of the Rings, things like Marvel, things like DC. So, if you want a take from a fabricated American on some of your favorite and maybe not so favorite franchises, come give us a look. We're launching channel memberships on September the 5th, so I'm very excited about that. And we've got Toonie Talk TV, our live stream pop culture podcast every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then for you wrestling fans, we've got our channel Toontown Wrestling, which is our pro wrestling comedy channel featuring the Headlock Headlines, our scripted 20-minute, basically the Muppet Show of pro wrestling.
Marvin, did you refer to yourself as a fabricated American?
That is how we prefer to be called, yes.
I see what you did there. Folks, I'd like to see what you did there when you click that like button. Share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment right on down below. Let us know your thoughts. And folks, if you think that we have messed up anywhere, please feel free to critique and to correct. Those of us who analyze this for a living, we take your thoughts seriously. And we mean it, by the way. Pro Show is coming up, folks, at noon Eastern. If you're watching this video at the time of release, can't wait to have you there. We've got all new guests, and we've got topics you will not believe. Folks, until the next time, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.
What are you doing?
Well, I was feeling really behind and uneducated on all the happenings in the entertainment world. So, I was trying to work out a solution, specifically around 12 p.m. Eastern Time. And, well, this is what I came to.
That's not what that means.
Oh.
But, why wouldn't you just watch Midnight's Edge on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays? And on Tuesdays, on WDW Pro's channel, you got the Pro Show, and on Thursdays, you got That Park Place with Jonas and Vash.
Jonas? That guy sucks.
Well, feel free to jump in the chat and remind him of that regularly.
I won't feel free. I am free, baby. But I think you forgot something important.
What's that?
On Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, there's something really special that happens on Florals from Under a Rock.
Ah, right.
Under a Rock, where we don't simply talk about entertainment, we actually try to be the entertainment. Which, I mean, Floral, you're actually kind of dragging the show down, you know what I mean?
Well, theoretically, you and everyone else knows now what's happening at 12 Eastern Time throughout the week.
Yep. Now, just a point of clarity. You say 12 p.m. Eastern Time that the Midnight Edge will be happening. Is Tom gonna commit to being on time?
Well, that's a fair question.
Okay.